All right, hi everybody. So in this video, we're going to talk about how you attach clay to clay and keep it so that way it sticks and it won't explode in the kiln. So what you're going to need for this is clay. For this example, I'm going to use a slab just because that's the first project we're starting with. You'll need slip, and from your kit, your fork and knife. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to cut off a section of my slab here using my knife. Just gonna lift it up and poke apart. It's okay. So what I would like to do is I'm gonna attach this slab on top of this one. So I could just do that and just drop it right on top. The problem with that is it's not gonna stick. As soon as it starts to dry, I'm gonna be able to peel this off, just like I was now. The other thing is when I pulled this up, you can see that there's these small pockets. Those would create air bubbles if I just put it down and pressed it in. And when air pockets occur in clay, when I put that through the kiln, it's going to expand, that air is going to expand, and it'll cause an explosion in your piece, and there will be cracking and pieces that have fallen off, and we want to avoid that as much as possible. So the process for attaching clay to clay is called slip and score. So score, it's a little misleading because everybody says slip and score, but you actually score first. So you're going to take your fork, and scoring is just making crosshatch marks throughout the piece. So I'm going to mess up the back side here. So I'm creating this rough texture, and think of it as like Velcro. So this is the rough side of my Velcro here. Now I'm going to do the same thing where I'm going to attach it on this slab. So I'm going to rough up this area. Right. Once it's nice and rough. So now I have these two pieces of like Velcro, if you will. So I could, again, just plop this down, but that's going to create a lot of air pockets because I've created all these grooves. So what we need to do is add slip to our scoring. Think of that as like adding glue to your Velcro. It's going to really make everything stick. You're not going to get it back apart. So I've covered my finger in slip, and I'm going to start brushing it on to my area here. Now, you don't want too much slip because when your clay gets too watery, it loses some of that structural integrity. So we just want to get a nice layer of slip going. So this looks pretty good for this side. I'm going to put just a little bit more on this side. And especially when you're attaching slabs together, you really want to make sure that you've got this really well put together. With coils, it's a little bit easier because you could just smooth everything together, but slabs are a little trickier. So, got my slabs, they're slipped and scored and ready to go. So next, I'm going to put down my piece, and I'm going to apply just a little bit of pressure, and I'm going to wiggle it. Just a little bit. I don't want to like put my handprint into it, right, because that'll ruin my piece. I just want to put just enough pressure to make sure everything's sealed. So now you can see some of these score marks that are around the edge here. You could use your finger, you could use another tool if you'd like, but I'm just going to smooth those out, and that's going to seal the seam here in between my two pieces of slab. And I'm going to do that on all sides here to make sure everything is nice and ready to go. So now if I tried to pull this off, it's not going to come off nearly as easy as it did before. If it does pop right off again, you know you didn't do quite enough slipping and scoring. So try again. But you want to make sure that you've got this really well down so that way your piece survives the kiln. So remember, when you're attaching clay to clay, score, slip, and seal. All right, best of luck.